I've often spoke of how much I truly appreciate the wonderful creativity that comes out of the Brony fandom. From the artwork, the music, the voice acting, the animations, there's rarely been a shortage of enjoyable fan works for one to show off to curious onlookers. But every once in a great while, there comes a diamond in the rough, so to speak. Passionate fan projects with elements so carefully crafted you'd swear the entire team behind it had decades of experience building up their talents before they'd even feel worthy enough to work on it. In the past, whenever I was asked about what the Brony fandom was capable of when at their very best, I would point them towards Lullaby for a Princess or Children of the Night. And now, that same team behind Children of the Night have released yet another brilliantly animated character piece that goes along with one of my personal favorite fan-created songs from the Brony community, The Moon Rises. I remember my own amateurish attempt at this song in a video from last year, but hearing Miss Ellie Monte's far more gentle and yet at the same time more powerful performance makes for a truly emotional experience. Though the real star here is the breathtaking animation and backgrounds. As the opening screen shows, there was a genuine effort to separate this fan project from the show it was based on. Looking at the architecture of the city and castle gives a very different vibe from the grandeur of our far more familiar Canterlot, and yet at the same time, I could actually see these lovely buildings and cities fit right in with everything we've seen in MLP thus far. Even Luna, the main character of this piece and a fan favorite amongst the Brony community, has had some little changes to her design. Which, when you look back at when the show staff had introduced a slightly different design of Luna in the first half of Season 2, there was actually some pushback from the fans at first who had grown used to her look from Season 1. To be honest, I have to admire the team behind The Moon Rises, taking a chance with slight alterations to Luna's design from the show. Particularly the wings, when it could have turned more than a few people off to the entire project. But just like with the new architecture designs, Luna's look here feels like a natural evolution to better fit with the far more detailed surroundings. And speaking of which, I'd also like to point out that, unlike many other fan animations in the community, this project did not rely on the Flash animation program. This is the standard go-to program for most, since the staff over at DHX also use Flash to animate the MLP episodes. But what makes The Moon Rises all the more interesting is that it was animated using a program called Toon Boom Harmony, which, by the way, is the same software DHX is using for the upcoming My Little Pony movie releasing in late 2017. And while we shouldn't be assuming that our favorite characters will be getting this specific animation treatment in the upcoming film, it is very intriguing to see what Toon Boom Harmony is capable of in the right hands, which in turn makes me all the more interested in seeing what DHX will bring us. One more thing I'd like to point out which, in my opinion, actually does benefit the project far more than what you might think, is the inclusion of Starswirl the Bearded. At first glance, he may seem like a pretty pointless addition. He doesn't sing any of the verses, he's not interacting with Luna in any of the scenes, really just observing her from afar. You could really cut him out of the entire project and still have a very powerful, very emotional animation for the audience to enjoy. However, his inclusion does add some emotional weight in that Luna is singing about how much she wishes to be loved and admired like her sister, and yet not realizing that Starswirl is in fact noticing her turmoil. To me, it's a very subtle nod to really anyone who feels as though nobody cares what they have to say. It is in those very moments when we are at our lowest that we tend to ignore the efforts of others who really do care about us. Plus, Starswirl's inclusion is also encouraging the audience to ask questions, imagining what he might have done next, perhaps even inspiring a few to write up a continuing story of their own. I can really admire any piece of media that doesn't answer every question and yet leaves the audience wanting so much more. which, coupled with a near perfect performance / animation on Princess Luna, makes The Moon Rises very much one of those diamond-in-the-rough fan creations which I hope will be entertaining curious onlookers for many years to come. It's always a treat when an animation like this comes along, inspiring countless others to try their hand at something new. What do you think? I am Dr. Wolf, and I look forward to hearing from you.